True strength does not announce itself with grand gestures or thunderous proclamations. It is not found in the loudest voice in the room or the most elaborate display of confidence. The ancient Stoics understood that genuine strength is quiet, deliberate, and deeply rooted in self-mastery. It emerges not from the chaos of constant action and endless chatter, but from the calm center we cultivate when we think less, talk less, and focus more.
Imagine the mind as a tranquil lake. When it is agitated by excessive thoughts, by the need to impress others with words, by distractions that pull us in 1,000 directions, the surface ripples and distorts, obscuring what lies beneath. But when the mind is still, when unnecessary thoughts have settled and the noise has faded, clarity emerges. In that clarity, we find our true power. The Stoics taught that the path to this strength begins with restraint, with the discipline to quiet both the mind and the tongue, and to steadily direct our attention to what truly matters.
To think less is not to abandon reason, nor to neglect the responsibilities of thoughtful living. Instead, it is to recognize the limits of endless rumination. The mind, left unchecked, can become a prison of overthinking, dwelling on past regrets, worrying about future uncertainties, obsessing over the judgments of others. The Stoics observed this tendency and counseled us to focus on what is within our control, to distinguish between what we can change and what we must accept. By letting go of the need to analyze every detail, we conserve our mental energy for the present moment. In doing so, we become more effective, more composed, and more resilient. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the great Stoic philosophers, often reminded his students, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This reaction is shaped by our thoughts. When we dwell needlessly on events beyond our control, we surrender our strength. But by thinking less, by refusing to indulge every anxious impulse, we reclaim agency over our minds. We learn to observe our thoughts without being ruled by them, to acknowledge the fleeting nature of emotions and let them pass like clouds across the sky." Talking less is a natural extension of thinking less. In a world that seems to value constant communication, where opinions are broadcast and every moment is shared, silence becomes a powerful form of strength. The Stoics believed that words should be used sparingly, with intention and care. Seneca, writing to his friend Lucilius, advised, "Speech, if it is not to be superfluous, must be pruned back to the essential. Idle chatter, gossip, and boastfulness drain our energy and distract us from our purpose. When we talk less, we listen more, both to others and to ourselves. This listening is not passive. It is an active engagement with the world, a willingness to understand before seeking to be understood." The discipline of speaking less also cultivates humility. It reminds us that we do not have all the answers, that there is wisdom to be gained from silence. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, practiced this humility daily. In his private writings, he reminded himself to be silent and let your actions speak. True strength is measured not by what we say, but by what we do, and by the consistency with which we live our values. When we restrain our urge to speak, we create space for reflection, for discernment, and for meaningful action. Focusing more is the culmination of thinking less and talking less. When we strip away the unnecessary, our attention becomes a powerful tool, sharp, unwavering, and deeply present. The Stoics encouraged a kind of radical focus, a commitment to living fully in each moment. They called this attending to the present task, the art of giving all of ourselves to whatever we are doing, no matter how trivial or grand. This focus is not scattered by regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. It is anchored in the now. In this disciplined focus, we discover a wellspring of strength. Distraction is the enemy of excellence, and the world is full of distractions, temptations, doubts, the endless pull of other people's opinions. The Stoics teach us to recognize these as mere externals, noise that does not merit our attention. Instead, They invite us to consider what is truly important, what deserves the fullness of our focus. When we answer these questions honestly, we begin to direct our energy toward our highest values, our deepest goals, our truest selves. The journey toward this kind of strength is not easy. It requires vigilance, a daily practice of self-examination and correction. The Stoics used exercises such as journaling, meditation, and negative visualization to train their minds and sharpen their focus. They understood that discipline is not a single act, but a way of living. Each day brings new challenges, new opportunities to practice restraint, to choose silence over noise, presence over distraction. It is tempting to believe that strength requires constant striving, that we must always be doing more, saying more, thinking more. But the Stoics present a different vision, one in which strength is found in simplicity, in the quiet mastery of the self. When we think less, we reserve our mental energy for what matters. When we talk less, we avoid the pitfalls of ego and impulsiveness. When we focus more, we align our actions with our principles, moving steadily toward our highest potential. Consider the example of a great athlete preparing for a competition. In the days leading up to the event, their routine becomes stripped down to the essentials: rest, nutrition, focused practice. They are not distracted by irrelevant thoughts or idle conversation. Every action, every breath, is directed toward the goal. This is the Stoic approach to life: to live each day as if it were a decisive contest, to bring all of our attention and energy to the present task. Yet the Stoic path is not one of rigid austerity or joyless discipline. There is a quiet joy in mastery, a deep satisfaction in living with intention. When we are no longer tossed about by the whims of our thoughts or the demands of others, we experience a kind of freedom, a lightness that comes from knowing we are in control of ourselves. This freedom is the true reward of Stoic strength. But how do we begin to cultivate this strength in our own lives? The first step is awareness. Notice the moments when your mind is racing, when your words tumble out before you have truly considered their impact, when your attention is scattered. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this thought necessary? Is this word helpful? Is this action aligned with my values? Over time, these questions become habits, guiding you back to the center when you begin to drift. The Stoics believed in the power of habitual practice. They knew that the mind, like the body, must be trained. Each day offers countless opportunities to practice restraint, to choose silence, to focus deeply. When you catch yourself ruminating on a past mistake, remind yourself that the past is beyond your control. When you feel the urge to speak simply to fill the silence, consider whether your words will add value. When you are tempted by distraction, gently bring your focus back to the task at hand. This is not a call to withdraw from the world or to become indifferent to its joys and sorrows. Rather, it is an invitation to engage more fully, to participate with greater purpose. By thinking less, talking less, and focusing more, we become more present with those around us, more attuned to the needs of others, more capable of meaningful action. The strength we cultivate within ourselves naturally extends outward, shaping our relationships, our work, and our communities. The Stoic philosophers lived in turbulent times. They faced exile, loss, betrayal, and uncertainty. Yet they found in their practice a source of unshakable strength, a calm center that could not be disturbed by external events. Their example reminds us that true strength is not a matter of circumstance, but of character. It is forged in the quiet moments of discipline, in the steady application of wisdom, in the choice to be guided by reason rather than impulse. In the end, the measure of our strength is not how much we know, how eloquently we speak, or how many tasks we complete. It is found in our ability to govern ourselves, to remain steadfast in the face of adversity, to act with integrity even when no one is watching. This is the essence of Stoic strength, a quiet, enduring power that grows each time we think less, talk less, and focus more. Let us remember, then, that the world does not require our constant commentary or our every stray thought. It requires our attention, our presence, our deliberate action. There is wisdom in restraint, in the ability to listen before speaking, to observe before judging, to act with purpose rather than haste. In this way, we become not only stronger, but also more compassionate, more understanding, more fully alive. To live as a Stoic is to accept the limits of our control, to embrace the present moment, and to strive always to be better than we were yesterday. Each day is an opportunity to practice, to think less about what we cannot change, to speak less about what does not matter, to focus more on what we can do here and now. In this practice, we find the true source of strength, not in the noise of the world, but in the quiet mastery of ourselves. As you move through your day, remember that strength is not a destination, but a journey, a continual process of refinement, of letting go, of returning to what is essential. The Stoics invite us to walk this path with courage, with humility, and with unwavering focus. In doing so, we discover a strength that endures, a peace that cannot be shaken, and a life that is truly our own. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by thoughts, tempted to fill the silence with words, or pulled in 100 directions by competing demands, pause and remember the wisdom of the Stoics. In that pause, you reclaim your power. You remember that true strength begins not with more, but with less, with the discipline to think less, talk less, and focus more. In this simplicity, you find the clarity to act wisely, the resilience to endure hardship, and the freedom to live in accordance with your deepest values. This is the path of the Stoic. This is the beginning of true strength.